So I am in a vast minority of opinion on this topic, but the proposed arguments of my opponents seem exceedingly weak. Let's debunk them one by one. I saw an argument: we can't have Colosseum cheapened by making it an attraction for tourists, by putting on a show in it, singing and dancing on the stage. And I can't help but notice, to deliver entertainment was the original purpose of Colosseum. Why people in the year 100 AD would take joy and pride in watching the show, but we now in the year 2024 can't? What is the difference? Why restoring the original purpose of the building is somehow wrong? It is a tourist attraction now either way. It is an object to visit. To keep it ruined as a way to remind people of Rome is another argument. Ladies and gentlemen, Rome exists. The eternal city stands. All roads driven or walked long enough still lead to Rome. I know, of course, they mean historical Roman Empire and Republic, the monument to their architectural prowess, how the materials endured 2000 years and more. Those are rocks. Rocks have a property. They endure for millions of years. Long after life disappears from Earth, and long before it appeared, those rocks existed. I don't think this argument is particularly strong. Yeah, they had a good mix of concrete. Alright, we have concrete too, it's the same thing. People walked around, tried to add whatever they could grab in a bucket, mixed it with other things, and concrete. It's using materials available within a line of sight while standing in one place. It's not exactly rocket science and to be admired and preserved forever. Concrete. Not bad. If the volcanic ash, sand, surface level lime mine, and sea for salt water were in one place on, let's say, Madagascar, they would invent it there and we would marvel at Madagascarian buildings and how they survived for millennia the exact same way. Ship of Theseus. This one is more philosophical, but I am not bound to the bipolar answer. Yes, the ship with all parts replaced keeps the same name and origin, or no, it's a new ship. My counter to the whole allegory is: ship is a ship, as long as it can help me get across the water, it can be built and then altered infinite amount of times, by Theseus, by Mark, by Donald, whoever. As long as the purpose of the ship is fulfilled, whether it's original or not is simply irrelevant. Regarding my rebuilding idea, obviously, all of the already standing parts would be preserved. They don't seem fragile at all. I wish the ruined part to form a contrast to the new one. By the way, is Colosseum original now? This isn't how it was built, not how the architect envisioned it. It wasn't originally a ruin, it is way less original, abandoned and collapsed than it would be with performances going on in there and complete features. Also, will it never be altered in any way, shape or form, as long as human species survives? This approach simply reeks of some sort of insecurity about heritage and culture. Italians are still descendants of Romans. The culture endures, whether a building is rebuilt and serves its original purpose again or not. History and culture endure, continue, get improved on. Are we supposed to lock this piece of land in a fishbowl, never to be touched? It doesn't sit right with me. Ruins might be impressive, but a fully rebuilt Colosseum and Parthenon in Athens would make a much better testament and homage to our ancestors than keeping them in ruins. Make it glorious again. Make it shine with splendor again. Is a ruin really what we use to remember the golden age of antiquity? Financial argument, as in, we don't have money to rebuild Colosseum in the year 2024. Yet, we had money and resources in the year 50 AD. Do I have to elaborate on why this is a complete utter bullshit that only a mentally crippled maniac could give any credence to? I'm using strong words, but the mere idea that we now have no financial, manpower and mechanical resources to rebuild buildings that our ancestors managed to erect by hand 2000 years ago is simply so preposterous. So disingenuous, so brain-dead. I just can't. Print whatever amount of euros you want, and instead of giving it to wealthy bankers, spend them on restoring Colosseum, alright? Alright. Reading people who made this argument actually made me mad for the utterly brainwashed in school minds. Temporary closure for tourists argument. There are more than 100 tourist attractions in the city of Rome itself, and another 100 near it. I don't think people will suddenly stop coming when one of them closes for, let's say, even a decade. First statement. Arguments against rebuilding Colosseum seemed very weak after I looked into their substance. Second statement. History isn't going anywhere. Adding back the missing part of the building while leaving the standing strong parts wouldn't hurt the visual impact, and even enhance it. The weathered yellowish old part, the sparkling white new part. It would look wonderful. Imagine it for yourself. Third statement. Would I want Colosseum to be rebuilt if I was Italian? Probably not, but please admit that your sentiment as an opponent of rebuilding ancient wonders isn't rational. It's emotionally and instinctually driven. My stance on this isn't particularly firm, just wanted to debunk the arguments against it, as they seemed weak besides the emotional appeal and sort of misguided form of national spirit.